Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on this Wednesday, September the 4th. Thanks for hanging out here with us on the program. We are so excited to have you here. We are so excited that there is one more sleep until NFL football begins in earnest between the Ravens, Derrick Henry, and the Kansas City Chiefs, the two-time defending Super Bowl champion. I can't wait. I can't wait for it to get here. Can't wait to get to Chicago on Saturday. Can't wait to cover a game on Sunday. Can't wait to react to it on Monday, whether it's a win, whether it's a loss, whatever happens. I'm excited to have it back in our lives. I feel like you guys can feel the energy of, at least from me, because, you not that the offseason stuff isn't important, and there's some stuff that's interesting, but there's way more stuff that's interesting than actually important in the offseason. Now, of course, when you talk about the offseason, it's, all right, how was the team constructed? How did you get there? What moves did you make? How are they going to impact you down the road? And all these different, like, hypothetical type of things that you're grasping at air, basically, for trying to figure out, all right, what is it? How much does it matter? Where is it going to matter? When is it going to matter? Except until we play the actual football games, none of it matters, right? So can't wait to get that off the ground, and I feel like I've talked about that a lot this week. So what I'm going to talk about tonight instead is overlooking the Titans and how everybody under the sun, except for here in the city of Nashville, nobody thinks that the Titans are capable of winning this game against the Chicago Bears. And I might argue, and you guys know that I'm no great, I'm not there to pat you on the ass every time that your team does something good or bad. I'm not there to make you feel good or feel bad about your football team. I'm here to give you an honest assessment. And my honest assessment is I think sleeping on the Titans could be a pretty bad mistake, especially in week one. Now, what evidence do I have of that? None, other than I'm here every day, covering your team every day, talking to your players and coaches every day in some form or fashion. And I get what it is, why it is they're drinking their own Kool-Aid, because inside that building, they're confident as hell that they're going to come out here and smack a couple of teams that don't expect them to right in the mouth. But we're going to talk about that here tonight on the show, and we're happy to have your participation. So we're going to get into the Titans' greatest advantage over the Bears. We'll also get to the Bears' biggest advantage over the Titans. You're going to hear from Greg Cosell of NFL Films. We'll do a little rising and falling. We will enjoy the next, we'll call it 30, 45 minutes. We'll see where the evening takes us. Who's to say? Now, we are going to have an adjusted broadcast schedule tomorrow because of the football game. I want to leave Bert alone. Bert's a Ravens fan. We want him to be able to enjoy or suffer through whatever it is that Baltimore is going to do against Kansas City last night. And also you guys. Obviously, I'm not going to try to compete with the first football game of the season. So we will probably go on at about 6:30 tomorrow evening to make sure that you guys can get settled, get right, get your primetime fix, and then go on to enjoy the Thursday night football, Sunday night crew broadcast, the whole 9 yards. So let's talk about why sleeping on the Titans might be the Bears' biggest mistake of the season. We'll get into it together. But first, we got to start the show. Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time from the Zen Sports Studios. I'm Buck Rising. I'm your host. If you're new to the show, welcome. Happy football season. And I'm proud, as always, to be presented to you by Zen Sports, where you can bet on all the NFL, all the college football action. Just plug in the promo code ATOZTN, get up to $100 on your no danger first wager. Of course, you are also able to enjoy the South's most trusted Ford dealer, Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet, or online at tworiversford.com. And of course, TrueMath Fitness in the Gulch, where your first workout is free as a Middle Tennessee resident. No workout ever recycled or repeated. Go to truemathfitness.com today. Caleb Gray says, I swear Buck can't keep his story straight, with a laughing emoji. One day Titans aren't good. Now sleeping on the Titans could be bad. Well, who said anything about the Titans being good? I don't know that the Titans are good. We are going to find out. But week one is weird. Week one is weird as shit. You're going to see a bunch of results all across the NFL that leave you scratching your head after the fact. And the Tennessee Titans could be good. They might be better than good. They might be worse than good. I have no idea what they're going to be. The point is, you don't know either. So I'm not down to project out too far about what this team is going to be until we actually see them play. But what I do know is that this team is good enough to go out there and cause problems against a team that has all the hype around them, that has plenty of expectations, that is being talked about as potentially being able to win the division in the NFC North, which is also kind of crazy to me, given that the Packers are clearly and obviously the best team in that division. But week one is a tone setter for a variety of different reasons, and it can dictate how you feel about your football team for several weeks beyond the week one results. So while I don't know if the Titans are going to be good yet, I also don't know them to be bad. And I know that they are infinitely more competitive than the team that was put together last year. And the team that was put together last year still managed to back asswards their way into 6 wins in 2023. Corey Smith says the Packers over the Lions. Oh, hell yes. Hell yes, the Packers over the Lions. Are you kidding me? You're going to make me pick between Jared Goff and Jordan Love? No, it's not even close. And if you are one of those people who say that 8 games is not a big enough sample size for Jordan Love, I would tell you that Jordan Love has top 5 measurables, top 5 traits of any quarterback in the league. He's with Matt LaFleur, who all he does is win 13 games a season. And they are pretty stacked on both sides of the ball. I would take the Packers over the Lions in a heartbeat. Now, I don't know necessarily if the Packers are going to sweep the Lions in 2024, but I know the Lions lost a lot in free agency. They had to pay a bunch of people, so your talent pool is going to shrink. You're going to have some attrition. Their offensive line got a little worse this past offseason, so shit, yeah, I'd pick the Packers over the Bears. Absolutely. Corey says, how far did that get them versus the Lions? Well, it got them nowhere last year. You're talking about last year. What do I care about last year? Coming in with logic like that, let me tell you just how dumb that comment was, Corey. Coming in with logic like that means that because your football team, I assume you're a Titans fan, I have no idea whether you are or not, I'm assuming because this is primarily a Titans-based show, assuming that your football team, who won 6 games last year, is not capable of winning any more games. You're the national media guy now, Corey. They said, oh, the Titans, they won 7 games in 2022, 6 games in 2023. How could they possibly win more than 6.5 games according to the Vegas betting odds? Look who they were. They're not that team anymore, nor the Packers, nor the Lions. So, again, dumb logic. Watch the tape, improve. You'll get better tomorrow. We'd love to see it. Okay, so biggest advantage for the Tennessee Titans heading into week one. There's really only 2 that I can come up with, because as I broke this down, and we did a great episode of the install with Greg Cosell of NFL Films today on the podcast. You can go check it out. It was a full Chicago Bears, Tennessee Titans breakdown, and also a preview of week 1 games between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Baltimore Ravens. We also did Packers and Eagles today on the podcast with Greg. So go check it out after we wrap up here tonight. But where is the biggest advantage that the Titans have? Again, I can come up with 2, because when we look at the matchup, who's got the better wide receivers between the Bears, got the Packers on the brain, Bears and the Titans? Well, even with DeAndre Hopkins, I would go with the Bears wide receivers. I think Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, who is in the prime of his career and is a number 1 wide receiver. Calvin Ridley is a top tier 2 wide receiver, and certainly compensated like that. And then 30-year-old Tyler Boyd in the slot. I would take the combination of Rome Odunze, DJ Moore, and Keenan Allen at this stage of his career over the 3 starting wide receivers of the Titans, even though this is the best collection, the best 1 through 3 that the Titans have had, I would argue, in 26 years of Tennessee Titans football, as we've talked about before. So where is the advantage for the Bears? Is it on defense versus the Titans? Well, I do think that the Bears secondary is at least more of a known commodity, but I would probably go Titans in terms of the secondary. The front, I would go Bears, because I don't know what Arden Key and Tavondre Sweat are going to be able to do. I know what Arden Key is. I think I know what Arden Key is. Arden Key has been the same player for the vast majority of his career, which is not a top-tier edge rusher, and Chicago has one of the best fronts in football, top to bottom, including Montez Sweat. So I would give a slight edge. I don't think it's that big a difference, but I would give a slight edge to Chicago. So where are the differentiating factors? 1, the biggest advantage that this team has absolutely is interior pressure. Sweat and Jeff are going to push the pocket and make life hell for a rookie quarterback. There is no disputing that. I talked to Jeff Simmons today about it and going along with the theme of overlooking the Titans, because Jeff has been here long enough. He's heading into his 6th or 7th season. That Jeff Simmons has never been on a Titans team that was favored to do much of anything, right? He's been favored in a couple of games. He's been a betting favorite as a Tennessee Titan in a couple of games. But for the most part, Jeff understands. Jeff knows the vibes. People don't pick the Titans to win shit, even though the Titans have been one of the more successful franchises prior to the last 2 seasons in the skid that they hit. So I think that there is a lot of different ways that you can break this down, but there is no question the biggest advantage on the football field that the Titans have against the Bears is that interior pressure. But there's another advantage that I think you have, and I'm going to let you hear from who am I going to let you hear from? I'm going to let you hear from Carmen Vitale here in just a second, who covers the NFC North for Fox Sports. She was on the radio show today. She's a Chicago native. She grew up in Chicago. She's intimately familiar with the Bears and their fan base and their organization and all the goings on. So we'll hear from her in just a second, right after I remind you that your Two Rivers Ford take is made possible by the South's most trusted Ford dealer. Go to Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com, because as we talk about all our favorite teams, you know that one of the best teams here in Middle Tennessee is the Two Rivers Ford team. One, because they do not work on commission. Their non-commissioned sales staff is never going to put pressure on you throughout the course of the car buying experience. 2, because they've been operating here in Middle Tennessee for over 4 decades and literally win awards for how good their customer service is. And 3, because you cannot match the product of quality American-made Ford vehicles that Two Rivers Ford offers. Go to Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com. Today, Boss Man Jem says, Bears don't have a good pass rusher outside of Sweat, Buck. Well, you don't have a good pass rusher outside of Harold. So where is the differentiating factor there? They do have good interior players. You do have good interior players. But again, I would probably go Bears based on what I saw on tape last year versus what I have yet to see from this Titans defense, because this Titans defense has yet to play in a preseason game together. Jeff, Harold, Snead, Awuzie, those guys, and now Ernest Jones in some form or fashion could end up being a better defensive front than the Bears. But based on what we know in this Matt Eberflus defense, because that is the one thing that you can game plan for, same defensive coaching staff, vast majority, same defensive unit that was one of the best in football last year. In fact, I'll pull up some of the numbers that support that point, except they're on my other laptop because I have too many laptops and too many screens and too many pages open to support the idea of the Bears having one of the better defenses. And the fact that they won, 5 straight at home last year and had one of the best turnover differentials in football. You got Jalen Johnson, who just got paid, an all-pro. He's second team, but he's an all-pro corner who just got paid. You have, of course, Montez Sweat, who led not 1 but 2 teams in sacks last year after he got traded to the Commanders. They finished 2023 with the top-ranked run defense. They allowed only 86.4 yards per game, and they finished, that's an offensive stat that I will save for later when we talk about how the Titans may have an advantage over the Bears. But Bears, MP says Bears got way better DBs too. Jalen Johnson is not, Jalen Johnson is a different kind of defensive back than L'Jarius Sneed. L'Jarius Sneed is a top 2, and he may not be top 2. Or he may not be 2. L'Jarius Sneed is a top press man corner in football. Jalen Johnson is a different kind of player. They play a different style of defense. There's a lot of off coverage. There's a lot of zone on early downs for the Chicago Bears. And then on third down, they get kind of crazy with their blitz packages. They play a lot of man on third down specifically. He's a different kind of player, but they're both quality players in different facets of what it is to be a corner. So when we look at advantages that the Titans have, 1, interior defensive line pressure. 2, there's not a single solitary person outside the city of Nashville that thinks you're capable of winning that game. And that was given voice to by Carmen Vitale of Fox Sports, who covers the NFC North today.
What are the vibes around Bears fans? How are they feeling? Because all I can tell from our standpoint is that the Titans are walking into a buzzsaw on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, it's like Christmas morning. I think everybody, I see it on Twitter all over the place. Like, can we just sim to Sunday? It's wild to me too that the league didn't give the Bears one of the better slots. I mean, they're playing at noon, which is kind of standard as far as Chicago goes. But at the same time, there's a lot of excitement around this team. There's a lot of excitement around Caleb Williams. He had a good camp. You saw him in those couple preseason outings. did everything you wanted him to do. It's a very small sample size. So now I think that Bears fans are really thinking the Titans are kind of an easy out, but like looking through this roster, Buck, am I crazy? Like this defense, I kind of like this defense, and I'm kind of worried for Caleb, especially with that front. I don't know. I think that the Titans are definitely being underestimated by Bears fans, but I think that's just because Bears fans are just so wrapped up in their cocoon of hope. So I don't know. We'll see.
A cocoon of hope is something that Bears fans have been praying for, understandably so.
So that's from the radio show today. Carmen Vitale of Vox Sports. She, like I said, she's from Chicago. She covers the Bears. She covers the entire NFC North. And even Carmen is looking around saying, the Bears are really, really underestimating what their week one opponent is at this point coming into Chicago. They're not even an afterthought. They're not even good enough to be an afterthought to Bears fans, right? It is all on Sunday for Bears fans about the coronation. Put the crown on his head. My crown's too far away, and I'm not wearing any pants. Otherwise, I'd go get up and get my crown. Much like Bert doesn't wear a shirt during primetime, I don't wear pants during primetime.
Go get it.
No, I'm not doing that. But I do have briefs on, but no pants. Either way, so I know, and you know, that Sunday is about Caleb Williams. For Bears fans, for the NFL, it's about Caleb Williams. His number one overall pick. Coronation of the first Bears quarterback to actually be worth a damn, right? They haven't had a quarterback ever, arguably. Sid Luckman is one of their statistically best quarterbacks in the history of the franchise. Jay Cutler is the second, right? Like, and I don't know, I don't have the all-time Bears leading passers in front of me, but like that's what the list looks like to some extent. So Bears fans are thirsty, dying, desperate for Caleb Williams to be great, for Caleb Williams to be the prince that was promised, right? For those of you who watch Game of Thrones, he's the quarterback that was promised. He's coming in there to save Chicago Bears football, 100-year-old fan base. Soldier Field, iconic Soldier Field in downtown Chicago. Week one, the weather is going to be perfect. Crown Caleb Williams until Jeff Simmons breaks him over his knee. And that is the kind of discourse that's being left out of all of this. The second biggest advantage that the Titans have, one, is Jeff and Sweat. Two, is the fact that not a single solitary soul thinks they're going to be capable of winning this game. And that is a position that I think you thrive under. So, anyway, No Pants Wednesday, says Jason Martinez. Yeah, I mean, you're all welcome to practice No Pants Wednesday as well, although it's pretty much no pants every day that we do primetime, unless we're at a stadium, and of course I'm wearing a suit. So, that's what I think is their biggest advantage, their two biggest advantages heading up to Chicago. One, the interior pressure. Two, nobody thinks they can win. Not a single solitary soul. And that is great motivation for a team that has a ton of self-belief in themselves. Like I said, the Titans are drinking their own Kool-Aid, and I don't think they're getting ahead of themselves, too much ahead of themselves, at least for week one. Now, week two is a different matter. Aaron Rodgers and the Jets coming to town with one of the NFL's best defenses. And depending on how Rodgers looks, you know, like I said, I would fully expect you guys to go 1-3 in the first four games because it's a really, really hard stretch. And I think that while this team is promising, it's going to take them some time to work out all the kinks. Now, could I be wrong? Of course I could be wrong. Football is weird. Football is random. And you could end up 4-0 in the first month of the season and make me eat. I'm not going to eat shit like that Florida State fan said that he would on Twitter and then deleted all his social media. But I eat my own words, right? If they come out even 2-2, I would consider a huge success for what this early slate looks like. But my expectation is low, at least for the early part of the season. I think that the grow as they go type of philosophy that they continue to preach is probably the most grounded in reality. So we'll see what happens, but those are the Titans' advantages over the Bears. Now, for the Bears' advantages over the Titans, we can get to those because Greg Cosell and I, we broke down the Bears, the Titans, the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Eagles, and the Packers, and mentioned a couple of other notes from some fun week one games that are around the league. I honestly had forgotten that Indianapolis and Houston were playing in week one. That's a huge divisional game in the AFC South with massive implications for your football team as well. So a lot of interesting week one matchups to kind of dive into, and we did so on the install with Greg Cosell. You're going to hear from Greg on the Bears here in just a second, right after I remind you that the Primetime program is made possible by Zen Sports. Download the app, plug in the promo code ATOZTN, get up to $100 on your no danger first wager. Terms and conditions do apply. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789. Must be 21 plus and in the state of Tennessee to bet at Zen Sports. So what are the greatest advantages for Chicago over Tennessee? If you're going to be realistic about what they're doing and about who they are right now, what are the biggest advantages that you see your team, or where are the biggest disadvantages that your team has against Chicago on Sunday? Boss Man Jem says, I can easily see a 3-1 or 2-2 start. Buck, you're tripping? No, I don't think I'm tripping at all. You are a fourth place finisher, and you're playing three out of 4 teams that are expected to be Super Bowl competitors this year, and one team that's pretty stacked, and their biggest weakness is a rookie quarterback. So no, I don't think I'm tripping at all. I think that you are blind with your homerism, and that's okay because the vibes are high and nobody's kicked your teeth in yet. Nobody's kicked Caleb Williams' teeth in yet. Everybody's happy in week 1. Everybody's backing their team until such time as your team gets exposed. And your team will get exposed in a variety of different ways throughout the course of the season, as everybody's team will get exposed in a variety of different ways throughout the course of the season. We just don't know what those ways are going to be just yet. So as I look at the Titans and the Bears, a lot of unknowns for the Titans, less so for Chicago, even though it's a new offensive system with Shane Waldron, the former offensive coordinator from Seattle, and a new quarterback in Caleb Williams, who is already going to be an upgrade over Justin Fields. We all understand that. Pistol Grip says 4-0 for the Titans in the first month of the season. If the Titans go 4-0 in the first month of the season, we can pick some kind of punishment for me because there's no way in hell that happens. If the Titans are one of the teams to go undefeated in the month of September, I don't know what I'll do, but I will do some kind of what do they call the bucket thing on the morning shows? The bucket of shame, the bucket of punishment. Either way, the bucket thing that they do in the morning, I'll have to borrow the bucket, and we'll see if we can't come up with some kind of on-air punishment if they go 4-0, because absolutely not is that going to happen. I think that would be nonsense. Jeremy Graham says you've got to drink a beer from Bert's Shoe. 1, I would never drink anything out of Bert's Shoe. 2, I don't drink beer. So that would not be the magic bucket. Okay, yes, I will borrow the magic bucket for in October if the Titans go 4-0, but we will see how that goes. Corey Shaw says a dunce cap. A dunce cap would be fun. Shit, I mean, I wouldn't mind wearing a dunce cap. It's got to be something with a little more teeth. Even I acknowledge that as somebody who's going to be the subject of the punishment.
Blonde mustache.
Ooh. Do I have to do it myself? Get on here.
I don't
want to have to mess with the dye and all that stuff. Like if somebody does it for me, if I can get it professionally done, then I'll do the blonde mustache.
Would you do blonde mustache with beard or just blonde mustache?
I would do the blonde mustache for a day. For a day, I would do the blonde mustache, and then I just shave it off because my beard grows back in like a week.
Fair.
I'm going to do it myself. That's disgusting. All right. So with everything that's going on, where is the best advantage for Chicago over Tennessee? Well, the best advantage for Chicago over Tennessee is the Bears defense versus the Titans offense. The Titans offense might be frisky, but we don't know that yet.
I'll tell you one thing we do know a lot about, and I've actually watched a good amount of their tape, is the Bears defense. Their defense has many of the same players from a year ago. There's only a few players that are different. One, of course, is someone Titans fans are very familiar with, Kevin Byard, who's likely to be their starting safety along with Brisker, number 9. So, the Bear defense, for the most part, has a lot of players, same coaching staff, and it's a good defense. We can certainly discuss that. There's much to say about it.
Yeah, I'd like to start there as we get ready for this Titans-Bears Week 1 matchup. So, in particular, this Matt Eberflus defense, and as you mentioned, Jalen Johnson, who got paid in the offseason, Montez Sweat, who was an in-season acquisition last year, who helped fortify one of the better defensive fronts in football a year ago. What is conceptually, what is Matt Eberflus running, and what are some kind of tendencies that you've observed from his defense over the course of time?
Well, they're a four-man D-line front defense in both base and sub. And in their sub defense, they're high percentage nickel. They only played 30 snaps a year ago of dime, so they do not want to take their two linebackers off the field, Tremaine Edmonds and TJ Edwards. Both very good players. They both stand out on tape. They're very active players. They're not a high percentage blitz defense, although their blitz percentage does increase on third down, as many teams do. They use both linebackers, Edmonds and Edwards, as part of pressure packages. They also use their slot corner in nickel, Gordon. He's a very, very good player. They use him as a blitzer as well. He comes from the University of Washington. He played opposite Trenton McDuffie, who many will know because he's with the Chiefs. And Gordon, just like McDuffie, is physical, competitive. He's really good in the slot.
So that is Greg Cosell starting to break down the Bears defense. The Bears defense is going to be an advantage here. It is the most known commodity, however. And so Brian Callahan will have actual tape to study of Matt Eberflus, of the defensive personnel. And so potentially the Titans might be able to catch them off guard with some ways that they're going to combat and try and dictate terms. But going into the game, there is no question that the Bears defense is the more proven unit, simply because the Titans offense hasn't proven anything to anybody yet. Preseason matters to an extent, okay? Because there are some things that do matter out of the preseason. Scoring points on all four possessions that the starting offense played, 3 touchdown drives and 1 field goal drive between the Niners game and the Saints game, those things do matter from an operation standpoint, from a penalty standpoint, from a play calling standpoint. And they feel like they've got a lot of that stuff worked out. I am curious to see how they go about this, but there is a lot of optimism in Chicago about the Bears defense helping to carry the day while Caleb Williams figures it out. So that is going to be the toughest test that the Titans have. It is going to be trying to get ahead, essentially, of the Bears defense and then make Caleb Williams chase. That's the best possible way to go about winning this game. If you can score early, if you can find a way to get on top early and ride this thing out, use your running game, because I think your running game, I'm going to say your running game is going to get better without Derrick Henry, but I think your offense is going to get better without Derrick Henry. And that is no slight for against Derrick. Derrick getting the second most rushing yards behind a shit show offensive line last year. The man deserves a Hall of Fame, a gold jacket, simply for what he accomplished last year behind one of the worst, if not the worst, offensive lines that I've ever seen. But there is no question that Derrick makes you play a certain style, and that when he's not on the field, you have the opportunity to be more multiple in your offensive packages, in the way that you deploy different players. I'm not, like I said, I don't think the Titans are outright. The Titans rushing attack is not going to get better without Derrick Henry, but I think that the Titans rushing attack could get more multiple and be more efficient without Derrick Henry. And that is going to be curious. Now, I also think that the Ravens are going to benefit greatly from Derrick Henry. I think the Derrick Henry going to Baltimore is one of the missing pieces for a team that is on the precipice of actually competing for, if not winning, a Super Bowl. I don't know if anybody's going to be able to get past the Chiefs in the AFC, or however long Patrick Mahomes ends up playing there. But I cannot wait to see Derrick Henry go out there and try to do it with Lamar Jackson tomorrow night in Arrowhead. I got a lot of shit today because I said that Derrick Henry looks better in the Ravens uniform than he did in the Titans uniform, which, by the way, it's indisputable to me. No matter how much you hate the Ravens, and I know all of you hate the Ravens, the Ravens have one of the nastiest uniform combinations in the NFL. And Derrick Henry in the black visor wearing the Ravens purple and black, yeah, it's the aura off that guy right now. Whether or not it translates to wins or not, who's to say? But there's no disputing that Derrick looks better in the Ravens uniform than he did in the two-tone blue. And that's just, these are the facts. I can't help you. And I know that bothered a lot of people on the radio show today, but that is, I think that most people would probably acknowledge that as well. Anyway, let's move on to a little rising and falling. Whose stock rose, whose stock fell this week in sports. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch is how you engage there. While you do that, I'll remind you that the Primetime program is made possible by the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage. Don't sell without the intel that only the Ashton team can provide. Go to GaryAshton.com. Get your dream address without the stress with the official real estate agent of the Nashville Predators. That is GaryAshton.com. Okay, whose stock rose? Stock up DeAndre Hopkins. I don't know if he's going to be cleared to play in week 1. This is going to be a huge week of practice for him. But the fact that he's practicing at all is a positive sign and trending in the right direction. And DeAndre Hopkins was back on the practice field today.
Looking for, I guess, DeAndre, maybe for some of the other guys that were question marks.
Yeah.
Practicing today.
Yeah, we should have guys. They should all be at practice, and we'll see how much they do. We'll see where they're at. So they're guys that I'm feel pretty good about, but can't make any guarantees at this point. So we'll see how it goes.
What have you seen from Hop so far from him coming back?
Same guy, he looks like Hop. He's been great. He's been really communicative about how he feels and where his body's at, and making sure he's getting to work to be ready to play. So everything he's done has been exactly what we're looking for in terms of communication and process. So that's been positive.
What's your thing about a guy practicing or not practicing during the week and playing on Sunday, and how much does it vary for a veteran?
It's case by case, I think, is how it usually works. I mean, obviously, you'd love to have them practice at least once before the game. I generally think that's a safe bet to feel like they're ready to play, but there's definitely been weeks where a guy's been dealing with something that lingers, but by the 48 hours from Friday to Sunday, they got a shot to be ready to roll. So generally speaking, give guys as much opportunity to play as possible. I'll never rule anybody out if they haven't practiced, unless it's like a clear they're not going to play. But for the most part, if they think they can make it, and we can try to make it go, pregame workout or whatever, if they haven't practiced and they've played enough, usually I feel pretty good about it. Different than if it's a younger player who maybe hasn't had the experience, and then I'd be a little bit more leery of a guy not practicing.
So that's Brian Callahan speaking about DeAndre Hopkins. Again, positive sign that he's out there practicing. We'll see what he ends up being. They'll make a determination on him on Friday. Jamal Adams stock down. He's on the injury report. We had the first injury report of the year, by the way. It is a hip that he has missed a bunch of time with. He misses a bunch of time. He does not practice a ton. And we'll see if he did get out there eventually today. He missed stretch and individual and then worked off on the third field, which is where the injured players, for example, Cedric Gray was over there rehabbing, who is currently on injured reserve. So stock down Jamal Adams. We'll see what ends up happening there. Stock up DeAndre Hopkins. I wonder, and I'll ask you guys this as we wrap up the primetime show tonight. If Hopkins is 80%, do you put him out there? He's 32. He's coming off an knee strain. He was the picture of health last year. He appeared in all 17 games. He was your only 1,000-yard receiver. He led the team, not the league. He led the team in receiving touchdowns with 7. You need him. You need him this year. There's no disputing that you need him this year, because you can't. I mean, until such time as Treylon Burks proves that he can be trusted, I can't trust Treylon Burks until I can see him do routine and consistent things on a regular basis, game in, game out, down in, down out, week in, week out, right? 80%, do you put Hop out there? My inclination would be to say no. It's an NFC opponent. It's week 1, so it matters, but it doesn't matter the most. I would rather see him out there. If you're going to rest him until the Jets, and then get him out there in week 2, because you're going to need him infinitely more. AFC opponents are the priority here. Of course, divisional opponents are the priority, but you only have one in the first 12 weeks of the NFL season. You only play an AFC South team once with the Colts in week 6, and then you have 5 of those 6 games from week 12 on, which is madness, frankly, but whatever. So my position would be is if he's not 100%, there's no need to put him out there. He may want to play, and you have to be able to tell him, no, I don't think so. Like, it doesn't seem worth it. And I think he's realistic enough to kind of understand if Snead's on a management program, then there's a degree of management that's okay here too, even if there's a little pride involved. And I do know how much pride he took in eclipsing 1,000 yards last year and playing in all 17 games after his availability and his production ability was questioned by plenty of people when he signed with the Titans. Ann Herndon says stock down laminated paper. That exchange made me laugh during the press conference today. UW says stock up Brandon Ayuk respectfully. Respectfully or disrespectfully, man? Ayuk went out there and got paid. I know that he came out and said in a press conference that maybe he bogged down or made it a little harder than it needed to be in the last couple of weeks, but I'm never going to fault a dude for that. I wouldn't fault any of you for taking whatever measures you felt necessary to achieve what you're worth as a worker, as a person, regardless of what your profession is. Nor do I think you guys would hold it against me or anybody else who tries to seek their full value in whatever line of work that you're in. So I'm always pro-labor in these situations. It's easier for fans to be pro-management because you root for teams, not individual players, and we understand why. But for Brandon Ayuk, congratulations to him. $30 million a year on an average annual basis. He's on one of the top contending teams in the NFC. And also the bigger deal is that Trent Williams came back. So stock up Niners for getting the Trent Williams deal and the Brandon Ayuk deal done. At 36 years old, Trent Williams still being the best left tackle in football is crazy, but it's a fact. You can't even remotely question it. Johnny Lee says, don't let Slay hear you say that about his boy Buck, talking about, who, Burks? No, I've told Slay that he's completely ridiculous. And also he needs to stop wearing that damn Traylon Burks jersey until he does something. Slay wouldn't bet me that Traylon Burks, we made a bet that if Traylon Burks goes over 750 yards, I have to wear the Traylon Burks jersey, which would be, it would be putting like acid on my skin to make me wear a Titans jersey. Just because, it's not what I do. And if he finishes under 750 yards, I said Slay had to shave one of his eyebrows. He has not accepted that bet. So not enough belief in his boy to take my bet, but I understand why you might not be willing to go that direction for wide receiver 4. And that is what Traylon Burks is when Hopkins is healthy. So I have told Slay that multiple times to his face. It is a ridiculous thing that he's doing with Traylon Burks, but I appreciate, that he's supportive and maybe it'll pay dividends. Maybe not. Who's to say? That's going to do it for us tonight on the Primetime Program radio show tomorrow. Who do we got? Oh, we have Jamie Erdahl from Good Morning Football. She picked the Titans to make the playoffs. You guys said you wanted Jamie Erdahl on the radio show, so Lucas got in touch with the NFL Network and booked Jamie Erdahl for 11:20. We're not on at 7:20, for 11:20 Central Time tomorrow. So that'll be a good time. We will see what her logic is behind picking the Titans, because I don't even know that I would pick the Titans to make the playoffs. But Jamie Erdahl will join us on 104.5 The Zone, and I think we might have a player tomorrow, but I'm not sure. I asked for Arden Key. And they have a new practice schedule, so we're trying to work through the logistics of that practice schedule. But if we have Arden Key and Jamie Erdahl, it's not a bad day. And if we just have Jamie Erdahl, then that's fine too. Real Cricket says should get Stonehouse again. He was great. Ryan was great, but I don't need 2 punter interviews in the span of 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Either way, I don't need 2 punter interviews like that. Respectfully to Ryan, and I think he would acknowledge that too. We like to have different players on if we can help it, except for Arden Key, who I think we had on 6 times last year. Stephen King says, you got Jamie, get Kay Adams, damn you.
Bonk you, bonk. Everybody's getting bonked, you horny.
Is that just I was very disappointed in how horny the chat was today when Carmen came on the radio show. I mean, my God, it's like you guys have never seen a female before. No wonder the women in the live stream chat, whether it's here on the primetime show or on the radio show, are largely disgusted with the behavior of you guys who just cannot help yourselves. Cannot help yourselves. Because I saw it today with Carmen. I see it every time Diana comes on the show. I see it when Mina comes on the show. You guys cannot help yourselves. You know who you are. Be better, horny bonk. So that's going to do it for us tonight on the radio show. Halo says, get Lawan. I can call Taylor and see what he's doing. I don't think we need Taylor this week. We're going to have Ben Jones next Wednesday. He's going to get us ready for the Jets game and also talk a little SEC football. I'll see what Taylor's schedule is like on Friday. We already have Coach Mack, but Lawan on Friday is never a bad thing. So we will follow up and we'll see what we can do there. All right. That's the end of the show. I've talked for 39 minutes. You can't have any more tonight. 10 to 1 tomorrow on the radio show. We'll be back for one more episode of Primetime for the Week tomorrow night at 6:30 because we want to make sure that you guys can watch kickoff between the Chiefs and the Ravens at 7. See you all.
Go home! Go home! Go home! You're embarrassing Nashville! Go home!